The Phenomenon of Interest by Ludwig von Mises. It has been shown that time preference is a category inherent in every human action. Time preference manifests itself in the phenomenon of originary interest, that is, the discount of future goods as against present goods. Interest is not merely interest on capital. Interest is not the specific income derived from the utilization of capital goods. The correspondence between three factors of production, labor, capital, and land, and three classes of income, wages, profit, and rent, as taught by the classical economists, is untenable. Rent is not the specific revenue from land. Rent is a general catalactic phenomenon. It plays in the field of labor and capital goods the same role it plays in the yield of land. Furthermore, there is no homogeneous source of income that could be called profit in the sense in which the classical economists applied this term. Profit, in the sense of entrepreneurial profit, and interest are no more characteristic of capital than they are of land. The prices of consumers' goods are, by the interplay of the forces operating on the market, apportioned to the various complementary factors cooperating in their production. As the consumers' goods are present goods, while the factors of production are means for the production of future goods, and as present goods are valued higher than future goods of the same kind and quantity, the sum thus apportioned, even in the imaginary construction of the evenly rotating economy, falls behind the present price of the consumer's goods concerned. This difference is the originary interest. It is not specifically connected with any of the three classes of factors of production which the classical economists distinguished. Entrepreneurial profit and loss are produced by changes in the data and the resulting price changes which occur in the passing of the period of production. Naive reasoning does not see any problem in the current revenue derived from hunting, fishing, cattle breeding, forestry, and agriculture. Nature generates deer, fish, and cattle, and makes them grow, causes the cows to give milk and the chickens to lay eggs, the trees to put on wood and to bear fruit, and the seeds to shoot into ears. He who has a title to appropriate for himself this recurring wealth enjoys a steady income. Like a stream which continually carries new water, the stream of income flows continually and conveys again and again new wealth. The whole process is plainly a natural phenomenon. But for the economist, a problem is presented in the determination of prices for land, cattle, and all the rest. If future goods were not bought and sold at a discount as against present goods, the buyer of land would have to pay a price which equals the sum of all future net revenues, and which would leave nothing for a current reiterated income. The yearly recurring proceeds of the owners of land and cattle are not marked by any characteristic which would catalactically distinguish them from the proceeds stemming from produced factors of production, which are used up sooner or later in the processes of production. The power of disposal over a piece of land is the control of this field's cooperation in the production of all the fruit which can ever be grown on it. And the power of disposal over a mine is the control of its cooperation in the extraction of all the minerals which can ever be brought to the surface from it. In the same way, the ownership of a machine or a bale of cotton is the control of its cooperation in the manufacture of all goods which are produced with its cooperation. The fundamental fallacy implied in all the productivity and use approaches to the problem of interest was that they traced back the phenomenon of interest to these productive services rendered by the factors of production. However, the serviceableness of the factors of production determines the prices paid for them, not interest. These prices exhaust the whole difference between the productivity of a process aided by a definite factor's cooperation and that of a process lacking this cooperation. The difference between the sum of the prices of the complementary factors of production and the products, which emerges even in the absence of changes in the market data concerned, is an outcome of the higher valuation of present goods as compared with future goods. As production goes on, the factors of production are transformed or ripen into present goods of a higher value. This increment is the source of specific proceeds flowing into the hands of the owners of the factors of production, of originary interest. The owners of the material factors of production, as distinct from the pure entrepreneurs of the imaginary construction of an integration of catalactic functions, harvest two catalactically different items: the prices paid for the productive cooperation of the factors they control on the one hand, and interest on the other hand. These two things must not be confused. It is not permissible to refer in the explanation of interest to the services rendered by the factors of production in the turning out of products. Interest is a homogeneous phenomenon. There are no different sources of interest. Interest on durable goods and interest on consumption credit are, like other kinds of interest, an outgrowth of the higher valuation of present goods as against future goods.